listening to Sign Criteria. Today we're talking with David Martino from Martino Signs. He's going to tell us how he went from being a street artist to owning one of the most extraordinary and successful sign shops in his state. Are you ready? Let's do it.
When you're in the sign business, there's a lot of variables to be successful. One of them is your systems and your processes and making sure you're a correctly run business. A lot of it is your talent. You are who your talent is. And when you're in a trade that has, God, so many different talents, we got designers and draftspeople and, electricians and welders and sheet metal people and fabricators and marketing and sales and installers and concrete people and masonaries. And you got so many trades in the sign business. People don't realize you're a Renaissance man. You have to do everything. And it all has to be artistic. It's just not knowing a trade. You have to be an artist as well. So,
yeah, and like you said, up to speed. You have to do it quickly, or you're not going to make that much money at it.
Well, it depends on the job. I say jobs are like children. You're never going to get in the same job twice. You got to get your problem child. You got your good boy. You get good girl. You got your crazy kids. The ADHD kid, and it's the customer, it's the project, it's your people, it's the situation, it's the timeline. It could be an easy job, but it's 300 feet in the air. So that comes with its own.
Right. Simple, but not easy.
But never the same thing twice in this business.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing, too, about even, it's custom signs, obviously, but I think a lot of people might think, say you're doing a chain of restaurants or something, and they inherently think, oh, it's all the same sign. It must be easy, but it's not really all the same sign.
Yeah, well, it's different buildings, different townships, different codes. You might have a historic township that says, hey, no lights, no LEDs, only carved signs and awnings. And, you get another township. They're like, do whatever you want. We don't care. So you got a whole variable of, not just locations and situations, but then you have different buildings, then you have different, permit and code restrictions per town. So it's like nothing is ever the same, ever.
And then it has to be consistent with the corporate brand. I remember when we did the B of A changeover, the Bank of America, they went from their long kind of old 70s type logo to the current one. And boy, every time we came across a new site survey, we'd have to send it back to corporate, and they're like, oh, yeah, we don't really have a version that fits that thing. So then they would have to take weeks to come up with the new version, get approved by the top-level executives. Then it would have to come back and be processed into the new brand book, because at that point forward, Rena, you're never ever supposed to make a sign that's not in their brand book. It's very specific, well, at least at the corporate level, because they understand the importance of consistency. But how do you be consistent? Like David said, if you're now in a small town, that we only want brass plaques, but my logo is three-dimensional and multicolored. Oh, go talk to your graphic designer. It's going to have to be somehow formed into that new look. So it's really, it's wild, and it's pretty fun though. What are your favorite types of customers? Do you like new companies that have nothing, that just starting up? Well, nothing except money. Let's put money on the table, because a lot of times the worst are new customers with no money, and you're at the end of their production cycle. They've wasted it on real estate and product and everything, and they get to the opening like, oh, I forgot the signs. So you're the last in line, shortest timeline, least amount of money. That said, who are your favorite kind of customers, Dave?
Well, that's a tough question, because you already instantly have to categorize it into two categories. There's clients and there's customers. Clients keep coming back. Customers, they're a one-shot deal. So my clients, we have some that are easy to deal with, and we have some that are very hard to deal with. Same thing with customers. And it's all project and person based. You may have an awesome project run by a complete jerk off, and you're like, oh my God, I can't stand this person, but the project is so cool and I want to do it. And on the other end of the stick, you might run into somebody who's really cool and fun to work with, but the project is boring, put up white background, black square letters, and we're great, So again, it's just, I can't stress it enough how every single job is absolutely completely different. Every customer is different, and it's like every day you got a new adventure. It might be making letters 1 inch big or 16 feet tall.
Yeah, seriously. Do you have a preference of the types of customers you like to see come in the door more often?
Yeah, just good people and good business,
Yeah.
You got nice people sometimes that have ridiculous restrictions. We had a client that wanted to just not pay for anything. They didn't want to pay for shipping. They didn't want to pay for surveys. They didn't want to pay for the drawings. They just wanted to pay for just a sign all over the country. We're like, well, how you getting it there? They're like, oh, you can find someone to build it out there. I'm like, well, that takes work. So then now we got to put a project management fee on it. And they're like, no, we don't want to pay that. We don't want to pay that. We don't want to pay. Great people at the company and just too difficult, too cheap to work with. We ended up canning them and saying, we can't do your work because you just don't want to pay for anything. So we don't work for free. So
Yeah.
people are great, but sorry, we can't do that. They eventually
Yeah.
did come back after they searched around and found out, hey, these were good
David.
people.
Yeah, David was right. After all, things
Yeah, I
cost
get
you
that a
money.
lot. They come
Yeah,
back to me
yeah,
for the second time. That's usually when I get them. I'm like, yeah, now I got you.
yeah. I've seen some of your work, dude. You guys do some fantastic work. So you've
Thank you.
been in business a long time, right?
Yeah, I've started at 12 years old. I was a graffiti writer, and I used to write
Okay.
graffiti all over the place, and I was good. And then everybody was like, "Yo, man, kid, you're really good. Can you paint my sign?" I would paint pizza places and ice cream trucks, and uh, just over the years, I just got more and more into the sign and less into the graffiti. I probably stopped graffiti around 16 and was just strictly signs, but that's how I segued into it. Got an architecture background, got a college degree with art and art history, and just learned more about the graphic end of it and the design end of it and engineering end of it. And then over the years, I worked in so many different large companies. I learned how to be an installer, a fabricator, and a project manager, and a marketer. And after I started at 12. I'm 57, so that's 45 years of experience all throughout the industry. And I got to tell you, it's that well-roundedness helped me grow my business very fast. I mean, 8 years ago, I was in my living room with a printer and a bucket truck, and
Hmm.
now I have a 25,000 square foot facility with cranes and buckets and router tables and paint booths and folders and all kinds of stuff, and a variety of
Yeah.
people there and designers. So it's come to fruition through my years of experience, and it came fast. With that came another set of problems, but
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Did
It's
you
a
ever think that would be your life?
um, I don't know. I never think like I want to grow up and be this. I did like want to do this and do that, and that's probably another reason I got so good at being a sign guy because I was like, you
right.
know what, I really want to run an excavator. So I learned how to dig holes in an
Mhm.
excavator. And then another day I was like, I want to be a designer and I want to actually spec out all the signs and detail and AutoCAD and all that. And so I learned that and I learned this. And I'm still a little kid at heart. I think a lot of sign people have this like ADHD and they're still a child inside, and every day they want to do something different.
Mhm.
I know a lot of owners and they're same thing. They're like, oh my God, today I'm doing this, and tomorrow I'm hanging off the side of a
Yeah.
skyscraper,
Right.
rappelling down, and I'm like, it's just it's part of it takes a special kind of breed to be a very very good sign guy. It's a lot of fun too. Every
Yeah.
day is
Yeah.
different. Like I say, you never know what you're walking into. I walk in, God, I could be a businessman, I could be a fabricator, I could be a marketing guy, I could be making a little tiny letter, a big letter, light up, I could be working on lighting, or I've made a statue of Big Bird one day.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
What did you make that out of?
It started off it was for the National Children's Museum.
Yeah.
They wanted their entranceway to have a grand thing for people to take photos at. So,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sitting at a desk with a guy and he throws on a napkin and he says, hey, can you put Big Bird on the wall? And it started off as a sketch on a napkin. And then it was, you know what, maybe we can make them three-dimensional on the wall. And then then it became, let's pull them off the wall and make them
Oh
a
my God.
statue. And then it was
Right.
like, you know what, the kids are going to climb on it. So it's got to be structurally sound. And you got 30 days to do it. So
That's the best.
that was a
That sounds
challenging
like a
project.
blast, dude.
It
Yeah.
was a lot of, it was a lot of fun.
Did you make it out of metal at the end of the day, or did you use some foam, or what did you do?
It was a aluminum frame,
Hmm.
aluminum tube frame, and then it was routed CNC out of foam, and then we reversed molded it with fiberglass and then filled it with
Okay.
like foams and resins and stuff to make
Great.
it solid. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
a metal skeleton, foam inside, fiberglass body, coated with some really heavy, durable paints. He was actually painted Ferrari yellow, but it
Oh,
works.
nice.
It was a perfect match.
A Ferrari yellow Big Bird. That's awesome.
So it was
What a
pretty
great
cool.
combo, dude. Yeah, I love that idea. That's one of the cool things. I had interviewed the guy from Fox Studios sign department, and that guy has a great job too. That like anytime he'll get a job order, it'll be like, "Hey, we need a liquor store, and there needs to be this is the fake brand." So he'll make brands of
Oh
all
yeah,
this.
I've done stuff for the movie industry. It's
Yeah, it's
they have
really
their own
fun.
set of rules too.
Oh
Talk
yeah, yeah.
about that.
I've been in a couple different movies. I was the extra in Creed. They asked me to make some stuff real quick. I've had people make reality series about me, try to make like a whole reality series about me. Found out that most sign companies never ever get to be on TV because there's too many corporate logos in it, and you got to blur out your work. That was a legal thing, but they loved the show. It was great. Chris Rabb himself from MTV's Jackass filmed that,
Yeah.
and it
Oh,
was a
good.
lot of fun. But it was like, hey, can you prop this up real fast? And I was like, yeah, sure. So I've done some stuff for different people in the industry, and it's just,
Yeah, that's
they
amazing.
want
And
it quick, fast, and
you
cheap, of
bring up
course.
a really good point there about the logos everywhere because I've always wondered. You see, I guess the most I ever saw a sign person was the gal from ISA on, I think it was Undercover Boss.
Yeah, it was a
So
Signorama type thing, I think.
yeah, yeah, it's like that. And she was up there. They put her, made her weed some vinyl, which is always awesome. Put a new person on a vinyl table day one and just put a camera on them. That's always great. You might as well put a kitten on the vinyl table. I
So
think they made her get up on a bucket truck and stuff. But yeah, to your point, there weren't very many corporate logos, and honestly, that's all we see. Like when you walk in a shop, I mean, what are you making signs for? Other people's logos.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
so legally, if you're going to make a sign show, you have to get permission to air their logos on corporate tele or on national TV. And
yeah.
then on the back end, the TV production companies want to get paid for that free advertising. So it's like a double whammy, and the
It's a lot of
legalities of it
work.
are just, it's tough.
Yeah,
It,
yeah. I
it,
can
it
imagine.
made it non-conducive to proceed with it would actually have cost me money to make a show. So that's why
Right.
you're not going to see it. There's a lot of companies, Sal Eggio from ASL Signs, he's been on TV, I think, on like a business rebrand thing. There's another guy down south, and yeah, they're out there on YouTubes and stuff, and everybody's got their own little thing going on, especially now with the internet and YouTubes, and
It
so
is pretty neat. Yeah.
yeah, we were thinking about bringing it back up again, but it's a lot of work. It's like you do something really cool, and they're like, "Hey, man, did you get that on camera?" And they're like, "No, can you do it again, just like this or just like that, and let's try it this
Uh,
way." And it's like spend your whole day putting a letter R up.
Dude, it's so rough because I have kids now that are in their 20s, right? So they're hip to the way businesses are supposed to be advertising, effectively recording every single thing you do. And I'm sitting over here like designing something. I had to go install something. Did you get video? And I'm like, no, I didn't get any freaking video. I was
It's
working.
a lot of work.
Uh,
It's a whole nother job.
it's the whole second job, but I'm starting to get used to it. Part of it, I've always been a blabbermouth. I was started in radio way before, like maybe 16 years old, about the same time I got into graphics, honestly. But I'm like, there's no good radio show for the sign industry, and people are like, who wants a radio show? His signs are visual. I'm like, I don't know. Sign people like to still talk, and we like to use our eyes while we're working. So my thought was we need something to listen to that's just kind of cool and casual while our hands and eyes are busy out in the field.
Well, it's
So
nice
I've
for
been,
people in the industry too, because you got the guys working in the shop. They're probably listening to me right now. The guys in the truck driving around probably also listening to us, and you
yeah,
know
it just get
they want to
tied
know.
together a little more. Like we're all the same. We're just kind of siloed off. But as you mentioned earlier, there's so many different trades that don't normally work hand in hand. We work side by side, but not hand in hand. That's for sure. And you listed probably 10 trades at the beginning, just
There's more
from
than that.
yeah. And that's just the common main ones. So when oh my God, yeah, I'm starting to think of all the tributaries to all the other trades, and
I'm
it's
curious how you even picked your partners of
huh.
of the different people that you work with in the trades. I mean, it's really hard to vet
qualifying
people.
vendors.
It's hard to hire people, that's for sure. This is probably the hardest industry to hire somebody because they got to be multi-skilled. We've hired electricians to install signs, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know what we're doing. This is crazy," And then you get welders, and they got to pick up something other than the welding torch, and they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing." So unless you've been in the sign business, you're not a sign person. So it's tough. You got to cross train people. They got to learn. They got to see stuff. They got to learn it, and there's always a training curve in there, and we are not paid as well for our trade as some of the other people in the industries, so we lose a lot of people.
Yep
So,
you train them how to weld, and then the welding company hires them away.
So we train people for other industries, but that's part of the gig.
It's
Did you have anyone in your family that was in the industry?
No, my dad was a hairdresser.
Well, you have nice hair.
Thanks. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Old guy, I got a full head of hair. It's clearly all white from the stress, but
I'm glad you came from the art side, from the murals and the street. I was going to say tagging, but it's not tagging. It's graffiti art and street art, to my mind.
I really didn't do the tags with like the black spray paint, just scrawling my name all over the place. I did murals, and I was good. And and a lot of things cross over into the sign business. Where you would have to climb up to the top of a building to put your name up. You would have to, pre-draw your stuff out. You have to pre-plan your trip to make sure you have enough paint. And it was, it was definitely a good, good introduction, I say.
Would you rather do? Go ahead,
did you get in trouble? Did you ever get caught?
I never got caught.
Beauty.
People are like, "What did you write?" I said, "I changed my name a lot, so I didn't get caught." So I had some friends who were graffiti writers, and they did get caught. But there's sign people too. There's Stephen Powers, Espo. He's a great artist. He does a lot of stuff up in New York. I think a couple of the guys from New York are doing stuff, and it's you're still putting letters up on wall. Here I am. I was 12 years old, being a hustler, putting letters on walls, being real cool, and now I'm still doing it. I love it. I love what I do.
Yeah, I think most sign people I talk to, it's something that they say something along the lines of it gets in your blood once it's in your blood. And I think it might be that variety that you spoke of earlier, because once you start realizing that, like you start off in graphics, like I did, as a kid, I was into design. And then when I realized that I could bring that design into the real world, and I could do that by touching other things like metal and plastics and stuff, I'm like, oh, this is actually really neat. That really kind of made it all encompassing. It started to affect so many of my senses that I'm like, oh, it is kind of part of me. I actually know all these things. Did you ever have that realization? Because clearly it's affected you. It's in you. You're a sign person.
Yeah, once you're in it, you're in it. But I think it's also specific for, I don't want to say a mental illness, but a lot of us are dyslexic, have ADHD. We're we like to party. We like adventures.
Yep.
Everybody's in like crazy a little bit in the sign industry, and I don't know if it's just because we get bored real fast, so every day I'm doing something different, so we kind of gravitate towards this kind of stuff. Like, I couldn't sit at a desk every day all day long. Just no way. I mean, I'd put my hair out. You always see, like, the sign guys, we're always drinking energy drinks, and who's doing lines of Coke or whatever. I mean, all kinds of party animals, because we're just thrill seekers. I mean, God, my body's covered in scars. I have got 4 metal plates, 2 rods, 28 screws, plastic pieces in my body. And I feel fine. It's not like it's like
what? Okay, back up. I want to know some of that.
The Rab himself connection is starting to make sense. Also, the jackass connection.
So, right. Those guys were like, Dave, you're freaking nuts, man. You're fucking crazy. I don't know what it is about you. You're nuts. But you know what? And he was kind of like that same mentality, because I was like, yo, Rab, we're going to go do this big job, and we're going to go up in the air. I was like, you comfortable going up? He was like, yeah, I'm going to go up. I'm going to go. So he was all into it, man. He's a really cool dude, and he just went like right along. And, I mean, we were playing with fire, doing some scenes and stuff. And totally awesome person. Really cool. Loved working with him. Very, very talented. I just was blown away by his skill set. And, he put a nice production out. We have a little sizzle out there on YouTube, on Martino Signs YouTube. And
I saw that. It's good.
You can see a little, reality show that he put together for the Discovery Channel. And, I mean, they were all on board, like, yeah. And then the lawyers got in, and were like, yeah, too many logos, bye. So,
that sucks, dude.
That does suck, man.
Like, we build up your hopes and crush it. Well, that's typical in the sign business, too.
Oh, yeah, Hollywood, too. Both. Yeah, exactly. Dude, I'm going to start testing your theory here because I definitely have ADHD. I almost forgot to take my meds this morning. And it's weird when you're a full-size grown-up that is such a spaz. But you're right. I find
multi-talented, very intelligent. You're incredibly smart, incredibly stupid at the same time. I mean, it's
smart, like dumbest smart guy I know. Right.
Yeah. Strange, weird stuff.
I don't get it. He doesn't apply himself,
I wear orange shirts. People are like, there's Martino with his freaking orange shirts again and his orange hats. I go down to the Jersey Shore a lot. And I didn't realize where people were taking pictures of me. There's that orange guy, because I always got my orange hat on, because I don't want to get all sunburned,
whatever.
Well, but I'm eccentric, like many sign people. I drive around in a monster. I got a couple monster trucks that I drive around in public with, and they're like, "Look at this lunatic. He's not normal,"
Right.
And people look at me and they're like, they're getting like, "Wow, there he is," and I'm like, "What the hell are you looking at? I'm just a normal person," and you're like, "No, you're not."
Funny. Yeah, it's interesting. Most of the people that Rena introduces me to are like that. And I'm starting to wonder if I'm that guy. I'm starting to wonder if I'm one of them guys that she's introducing other people to. Wait a second here. Who's the fool? The fool that follows the fool?
I would never change my life. If I could go back into it all over again, I'm like, yep, I'd be right here, or a rock star singer. Just.
Dude, that's so funny you said that, because if I wasn't, I wanted to be in Kiss when I was, a little kid.
Yeah, there you go.
I thought that was a job. I didn't know that was a job. And then my mom said, no, that's their job. They go home and stuff at the end of the day. I'm like, oh. It took me about 10 years to realize you can't be Kiss. So by the time I was 14, I'm like, what else can I do and not stay inside? Yeah, it was signs. It was graphic design, playing out of computers, going out in the field, talking to people. Just your 8 hours is not spent in one location. I thought that'll work. That's fine.
It's a great career. People don't realize it. They're like, I tell people I'm a sign guy, and they're like, "How you make banners and stickers?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm hanging outside the building. And, I can weld. I can, and do art and do electrical and electronics and painting and gold leaf and this and that and that." And like, I had no idea.
Yeah, signs is wild, right? When you say signs, it's such a simple term to me. Yeah, I make signs. And then people and then like you say, they'll name whatever sign comes to their mind. I'm like, yeah, that's included. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Honestly, if it's a fucking urinal cake, I don't care. I'm like, well, yeah, if you need it, I'll find you a source. So whatever. But yeah, my favorite signs are just ones, maybe ego-oriented, that you could drive down, Route 66 and I did that. Oh, we did that one over there too.
Even if you never know what you're going to make.
Have there been any that were kind of against your moral compass that anybody wanted you to do? Is there a sign you wouldn't do?
I turned a couple jobs down. The Archdiocese has been closing churches a lot, and they're turning into charter schools. And we were like, "Hey, what do you need us to do here?" And they're like, "Oh, just take all these signs down and throw them in the trash." Well, kind of sacrilegious to throw.
Take all the Jesus crosses down.
Yeah,
right.
Just toss them in the church. They're like, "Hey, can't you resell this stuff to another church?" They're like, "Nah, we tried." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to do that." Another one I turned down was I was going to put up a digital message board for a church alongside a cemetery, and they're like, "Well, it's on a hill, so the gravestones kind of moved around over the years, and it's an old cemetery, so you might hit a casket when you dig a hole." And they're like, "I don't think I want to do that. I'm not looking to do that kind of stuff."
Jeez. Who do you call before digging on that situation? The Undertaker? Jeez.
They actually were going to have a priest on staff come watch us dig just in case we had, and I'm like, I don't know if I want that headache, I got enough things keeping me up at night. I don't need, ghosts and stuff. So I'm not like a spooked out or religious or anything. I just, there's sometimes you're like, yeah, maybe this one's not for me.
Yeah, same. I like to hedge my bets just in case.
Yeah, everybody needs signs. So even hate groups have come to me. I try to stay away from political stuff.
Yeah.
Any
Well,
kind,
politicians generally, like if they're running for a race, you got to get their money up front. The whole thing is kind of sticky. They want them fast, they want them cheap. And I'm like, I want all your money now.
I mean, I had a friend who ran for office. I made a couple banners and all that. But as far as running all that political stuff, it's definitely a, you know, niche business, and I try to stay away from some of that stuff. I prefer to do corporate stuff. It's easy. It's easy pay. You're almost guaranteed to get paid. Even on the takedown. Bank. Circuit City's going out of business. They got to take all their signs down. All right, we'll take it. Guaranteed pay. Yep. Okay.
Love it. Yeah. Gotta love those kind of jobs. And they're used to doing business, right? Like a lot of the times when people come in with their big ideas or their political statements or whatever, they're not sign customers. They're just a person on a mission, and you have to explain the whole sign process to them. So it's kind of like reinventing the wheel when those customers come in as opposed to the one you're talking about, David.
Then you get the lunatic who wants to make giant banners with some crazy statement on it, put it on the side of the road with no permit. It's just
those guys.
and he has no money,
Right.
So we got all kinds of people come through the door.
I always think about that.
I was going to say, like, what would you tell someone who wants to break into the signage industry? Like, where do you start?
I don't think people look to join the signing business. They just kind of fall into it. It's an accidental thing. We get all kinds of people. We got welders walking through the door. Hey, I need a welding job. Yeah, sure. Get in here and see what you can do. Artists, laborers, just sometimes people who need jobs. I mean, nobody wakes up and says, I want to be a sign man. I just don't think that happens. I didn't. I had no idea. It kind of just got, okay, you're talented. Make our signs. Oh, okay. And that's pretty much how I got it. Look, you're good. Let's have you make our signs. And then, more and more you get involved. So people are artistic. They're very mechanically inclined. Yeah, I can take a car apart and put it back together. People are like, what kind of medium do you work in? Do you work in oils and acrylics or watercolor? I was like, I don't give a shit. Give me whatever kind of thing makes color. I'll make you art. Don't matter to me. So we just have this natural, like, let's go, let's get it done, and let's make it beautiful. And that's, I think, a mantra for like most sign people. We're very, very skilled and just want to work and make and create. So it's, like I said, we just fall into it. Right? Just kind of gravitate towards it.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like you said, because you were creative, I was creative, but I went to broadcasting school. And then I realized there was no pay at the local, NBC affiliate or anywhere. So I'm like, well, I want to do something creative. I don't want an office job. So, you kind of end up, saw a big ad in the paper, said sign maker wanted. I'm like, what's a sign maker? Obviously signs exist. Yeah. And so he said, oh, no, you play on the computer a little bit and make pretty pictures. And then you talk to that customer and you go to the field and measure stuff at first. And I'm like, oh, that sounds fine. You're going to pay me to do that? So, yeah. But to your other point, I think people that I'm trying to wonder, like, who ends up there. Like, creative people definitely end up there because there's not a lot of creative jobs. The other ones are harder. I noticed there's a lack of installers, for example, in our city and maybe nationally, because it's just hard work. You're out in the heat. You're up on ladders. You're doing new stuff. So I wonder if there's an analogy in the installer world. Do people come in from installing other things, into like roofers or anything? Have you ever seen that?
You have to understand that because there's so many trades in there, there's not much schooling for it. I'm trying to like scoot to a corner right now. I'm in a restaurant.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, it's all good.
There's no sign school. There's no way you could teach somebody a sign business. You have to experience it. You got to go to work. You got to be an artist. You got to be a welder. You got to be an electrician. You got to be a manager. You got to be a designer. You got to know materials. There's 40 different kinds of glues you got to learn how to use. You can take a class for it, but then the next day it's a completely different class. You got to go to class one day in a business suit, and then the next day you got to go in a fire suit. You never know what you're going to do.
That's right.
Oh, and I've been on fire a couple times too.
Really?
Yeah.
How'd that happen?
Just accidents. Like I said, we're adventurous. A couple of them were stupid stuff like hold my beer, watch this, and next thing I know I'm on fire. A couple of accidents being a cowboy rushing through things. almost burned my thumb off with an acetylene torch, and luckily it still works. Just crazy, crazy stuff. Just living life. I think, like I said, sign people are thrill seekers. We're the evil Knievels of the work industry. We're cowboys.
Yeah.
You're thrill seekers. We're stuntmen. Just who we are.
So many sign people are going to appreciate hearing that, because I think a lot of us feel that. And it's just a kind of a weird thing to say out loud, but in the comfort of, friends, it sounds right. It fits
We're all
too.
fucking nuts.
Yeah, seriously. I mean,
We're all nuts.
the best ones are, like, if you go to the sign groups on Facebook and things like that, there's some maniacs up in there. And there's also, I'm surprised at how many dumb people are in there. Well, I'm like, there's hope for us as long as we can retrain the next people, because there's people I see asking questions about jobs they've taken on that they are no way qualified for. I'm like, what the fuck? They're asking like,
the other trades hate us. They hate us. Right? Because first off,
jealous.
you look at the electrician and you're like, yeah, I could do that. You're an amateur.
Yeah.
Move along.
Yeah.
But can you help? They're like, no, I can't. Well, oh yeah, well, you're not. Can you draw pictures? What? No.
I mean, they got to call another guy
so
too.
we're egomaniacs too. You will see so many egos. You want to see ego trips? Start visiting sign stores.
Yep.
It is
There's
insane.
definitely a line. There's a line as what an appropriate sign man is. It's not a sign woman either. You got to be a sign man. Are you a sign man? You'll trip, Rena, when you start seeing all these things. It's not like horrible, but it is funny. And it's kind of just like one of the last remaining old school industries that merges with new school stuff. Like, because it's mostly guys on trucks, on cranes in the field banging stuff, right?
It's on hands, man. It's like,
but we do touch the soft skills. Like there's the frilly designers working behind computers. I mean, the whole thing.
Your work is more viewed by people than any other trade. Nobody goes to anywhere and says, "Well, look at that amazing tile work." Nobody takes a picture of the tile work and puts that on their Facebook page. They put a picture of their sign. Nobody's got pictures of their cool drywall, I mean, unless it's like artistic, which is probably done by a sign guy. But if it's artistic, it's most likely done by sign people. Even if it was like tile work or drywall work or anything cool, sign people do it.